Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Battle Bites here in World of Tanks, and today we're covering the PVE Krampus missions for the holiday season here in 2016, and the medal that you get for completing both of these Proving Ground PVE missions is called Don't Fear the Krampus, and based on these missions, there is no need to fear the Krampus. I've done most of the PVE missions that have come out. Usually there's a challenge to them at some point. At the end, you get flooded or you get grinded down. These are a bit of a joke. All you have to do is kill one tank. There's a bunch of other tanks supporting, but you can ignore them. If you take out Krampus, you win the match immediately. And Krampus is in a mouse. I'm sorry, not an E100, but a mouse that is modified to look pretty cool actually. But it's just a mouse, and he's supported by a bunch of toy tanks, tier 9 tanks, and they are not impressive. And in addition to all that, there seems to be something wrong with the AI. They just don't seem to respond to you until you shoot them. Here, there's 2 toy tanks in front of me, and they just don't care. So I dumped my first clip into Krampus. I damaged his engine. The route that he takes is very predictable. You can kind of get him as he's going up this bridge, and he may not even turn around to shoot at you. I've seen a video where somebody just took a Waffenträger E100, took the route that I took, unloaded the clip, and the mission was over in a minute. So, there's nothing hard here. I could reload, which I'm about to do, and pump the rest of these shots into the back of Krampus, and the mission would be over. But instead, I'm going to have a little bit of fun, so please indulge me. I'm just kind of messing around with these toy tanks. I want to see what the mode is like. Yeah, I didn't even switch out my premium rounds, so this is going to cost me some silver. You don't need a whole lot of strategy for this mission. Get in behind Krampus, take it out. But you can see these toy tanks, their armor is not impressive. They shoot the plungers, which travel slowly, so if you're in a quick tank, you can dodge their shots pretty easily. One of the really interesting things, and why I kind of messed around here, was the presents. So these are the same presents, I believe, that are in the toy tank mode. When you kill a tank, you go and bump into the dead wreck of it, and they carry power-ups, such as increased horsepower, increased reload, and there's also health repairs. These things are kind of ridiculous. Like, the Bat Chat is an awesome vehicle. If you bump up its horsepower a couple times and bump up its reload a couple times, it's insane. It's so much fun. The only limitation is the amount of ammo in it. So you can certainly have some fun doing these missions, taking a tank that you like a whole lot and really buffing its stats by taking out a couple of these toy tanks and going to collect the presents. You can have any kind of tank you want speeding around. I wonder if you had an E100 or a mouse of your own and you got a couple of speed pickups, what it would look like running around here. You'll see my Bat Chat certainly has a little extra oomph, and you can see these toy tanks are firing at me. And it's kind of cool to see the plungers stuck to the tank. That's a bit silly, but even when they hit, they don't do a lot of damage, and I bounced quite a few shots in the Bat Chat. So you can only imagine a tank with some real armor. These toy tanks are not much of a threat. They're basically big piñatas for you to kill and then take power-ups from. So again, Krampus comes down the bridge, and then he starts to work across the D line, is it, I think? A little lower than that. But you can see there he is, and he just makes his way across the map towards the flag very slowly. The one thing I was trying to do here, I was sure that Wargaming was going to make the horns on Krampus a weak point. I was sure that would be a thing. But they're not. Not only are they not a weak point, they're not a hitbox. So you can see that shot just traveled through. I guess, I don't know if they count as spaced armor or not, but there's no tank behind the horn. So if you shoot them, your shell will pass through without doing any damage. So don't shoot for the horns. The only challenge to this tank is having a tiered tank high enough to shoot through a mouse's armor. If you don't have a tier 8, 9, or 10 tank, yeah, you might struggle a little bit, although I'll show you that even that is not quite necessary. Stay tuned for the end of the battle for a special treat as I challenge Krampus in a very underpowered low-tier tank and see if I can take him out. But we'll go through the 2 missions regularly first, and you can see there we put one more shot into Krampus to finish him off and secure the first mission. And this is now the second of the 2 Krampus missions. This one is the Present Stealer, And once again, we're in a Proving Grounds PvE matchup. Same tanks that we're against. It's toy tanks accompanying Krampus in the mouse. And the only difference is this time we're on a blizzard map, so visibility is a little bit lower. But it's the same basic approach here. Find Krampus, take him out. You can pump some shots into him. There's plenty of the elf tanks along the way, so feel free to engage them at will and get the presence and beef up your tank. You're going to see the route that Krampus takes here. Again, I was kind of looking forward to doing this video. I like doing the PvE missions. Usually there's a challenge or a trick to them, and that just isn't really the case here. So I'm not going to bog you down with a whole bunch of minute strategy. You understand, if you have a tank that's powerful enough to take on a mouse, then you can do this, especially because the mouse is not played by another player. It's played by the AI, and rather poorly by the AIs, especially compared to some of the other PvE missions. So I'll leave the rest of this video in. I will jump back in for the special surprise as I take on one of these missions in a tier 6 tank to see how that goes. So here's the rest of this video, and I will join you as soon as this one ends. So those were so easy, I thought I had to give myself a little bit of a challenge to make these a bit tougher. And what better way to do that than to jump into my, well, it's probably my second favorite tank now to the Bat Chat. It is the Cromwell Knight, and it's a tier 6 tank. And yeah, the problem is going to be the penetration values, right? We need to shoot through a mouse, and even on its flattest, weakest armor, that's a bit of a challenge for most tier 6 tanks, the Cromwell Knight included. So we're going to see what we can do. The other thing that we have going for us is allies that are also run by NPCs, including 2 artillery pieces. So worst case scenario, maybe we track Krampus and see if we can get some support fire. I do have some premium rounds, so maybe they'll be able to go through if we get lucky. As you're going to see here, I'm testing the armor early on, trying to put shots into the rear of Krampus, and yeah, it's not gonna cut it with the normal AP rounds. You can see here, I'm looking for any indicator from my hitbox that I might be able to go through, and it's not happening. So instead, I decide to buff up my tank here. First, we're going to take out some of these toy tanks, and no problem going through these guys. This is fine. I was getting a little bit of the special touch from my NPC ally there, who really wanted to get around that corner. But no matter, we're still able to put a number of shots in, take out the first toy tank, and 2 more shots probably will do it here. There you can see we took a hit, and it was less than 100 damage, I think, from that toy tank. And so, yeah, even a tier 6 tank going up against these toys, it's not really a threat. So Krampus does take a couple of big hits there from our friendly allies. They are in tier 9 and 10 tanks. They're capable of doing damage to Krampus. So instead, I decide, well, I'm just going to buff my tank here, have some good fun, and then I'll try to deal with Krampus at the end, maybe with some premium rounds or with some tracking shots to set him up for my allies. So we find a couple of presents there. We're increasing our horsepower, we're increasing our rate of fire, and the rate of fire on the Cromwell Knight was good already. So if you want to see what a 75 or 76 millimeter machine gun looks like, this is it. And it's pretty cool to see that thing firing off just over once a second. That's pretty awesome. So we're going to, again, collect a couple tanks, a couple presents here, and increase our horsepower. And once again, the Cromwell Knight is already fast. So I think we were probably going to top 70 kilometers per hour at this point with all the pickups that we've got. And yeah, it looks like we're at 67. Downhill, we'll probably get to 70. And so I decided to have a little fun with these toy tanks. Now, I am bouncing off them a couple times based on the angle that I'm shooting them at. So, you know, they're easy tanks to take out, but again, I'm limiting my penetration so much again by using a tier 6 tank that there are some angles that these things are going to be bouncing at. So I'm taking quite a few hits. I decided that was fun, and it was silly, and it was great to be flying around in the Cromwell Knight, but time to break off, play a little bit more cautiously, create some space, and I'm going to see if I can find where Krampus is. And yep, there he is. So now we're going to make a push on him here. He fires and misses, and you can circle this tank all day. The turret traverse on Krampus is really, really slow. So if you have a tank with any kind of mobility, you'll be able to just do circles around this guy, and he won't be able to do much to you. So now I've switched to the premium rounds, and it looks like I can go through the rear of this tank, but I don't think I brought enough premium rounds to kill Krampus with just my premium rounds. I'm trying to aim for the side here. I was thinking, oh, maybe if I shoot him in the eye, that would be a weak spot. Really doesn't seem to be the case. It is just a paint job on a mouse with some horns added. But there we go. We held him still long enough as he was trying to get to us that both of our artillery put big splashes in him, and now he's down to 1 hit. And here, once again, I am just checking that these horns are not actually weak points, and yeah, they're not. Only are they not weak points, but they're not even hitboxes, so don't shoot at the horns. And we're just going to try and finish this guy off. I'm thinking, oh, I'll just spin around here. I'll track him again. Let me put a shot into the tracks. My artillery can just put one more into him and take him out, and we'll be done. And we'll have accomplished this with a tier 6 tank. And then I'm like, all right, this is taking too long. We're going to load the premium rounds and do it ourselves. 1 into the rear. We bounce 2 more. And there we go. Finally, that's enough to take out Krampus in a tier 6 tank. So if I can do it in the Cromwell Knight, you should be able to do it with some tank in your garage, unless you are a brand new player. If you've only got, you know, tiers 5s or 6s, you know, maybe a 7 would be able to do it if you play smart, conservatively, focus on spotting Krampus, eliminating the toy tanks, and letting your allies take him out for you. But nothing too difficult here as long as you have some kind of tank capable of penetrating a mouse. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.